Okay, welcome back. So today we're going to go over exception handling. Now, usually if you come over an error, it's going to print a long message saying this is not defined, this doesn't work, and your code ends right there. But what we can do instead is we can do something called a try, except, and finally block handling. So we'll print something that we'll try. And then if this doesn't happen and we get something like a name error, then we will print you didn't define X. And then we'll make another exception if that scenario doesn't happen. And then we'll print another error occurred. Okay, so now when we run this, instead of getting our error, we'll have a custom error that we built ourselves. So we just made an error that says you didn't define X and your code can still run. So let's say we print it ran, or you made it past the block. It ran. So we're going to try doing something such as print X. So this whole block will handle our exceptions and our errors. So originally we wanted to print X, and what happens is we get an error, and like we were going over before, you can't make it to this side, and your code is just done, and everything past here and on will be ignored. So let's say we ran it through this block here. Now what happens? You didn't define X. And then we forget about this error, and we say you made it past the block, and it ran. Okay, so another thing that you can add in your exception handling is a finally block or finally condition. So this will always print or always be executed. So in this case, we're running a print function. I will always run or print whatever. So let's say you get a you didn't define X error. It will always then print what's under finally, and that says I will always run. So this will always run. And then you can make it back to your block. So what we can also do is, instead of making like an if and an if else statement where if something happens then this is printed, otherwise something else will be printed. Let's say our x equals -1, and we can make our own condition where if x is less than 0, and in this case it is, we'll raise an exception saying sorry, no numbers below 0, and it will run the same thing. And now we have our own custom function where it says sorry, no numbers below 0. And it will tell us specifically what our error is instead of seeing something like syntax error, can't be resolved. So we'll do the same thing with, let's say, hello. And we'll say, instead of that, we'll do if the type of our variable x is an integer, or actually a non-integer, we'll raise the type error, as in this type, and the type of our variable x, the type error that only integers are allowed. So we'll get our big error message, but this time we can actually understand where we went wrong. Okay, so that's all I have in our exception handling for today's video, and thank you for watching. Hopefully you learned something from this video.